We look around our world today, like Scott even mentioned, and corruption and confusion and brokenness and hostility towards faith, and we can feel like strangers. We can feel like exiles. We can feel like we don't belong here. And especially for those of us and for all of us here who live in the Gresham area, Portland metro area, East County area, right? There's no shortage of complaining about leadership, about the city, about the culture, and about direction. Right? There's no shortage of people who say, man, I just want to move to Idaho or Montana. And again, there's nothing wrong about those states. They're beautiful. God is teaching his people, he's teaching you and I how to live in a place where they don't want to be. How to exist in a place where they are frustrated. That where God has placed you is not an accident. Sometimes God plants you in places that don't to you feel ideal, right? A job maybe you didn't choose with coworkers that drive you crazy, a neighborhood that frustrates you, a school environment that tests you, a city that doesn't reflect your values, and a season of life that feels extraordinarily difficult. What I want to remind you or show you today that God hasn't abandoned you there. He's actually assigned you there. That we need to flip our mindset from that I'm here and I'm stuck to no, God sent me here. God put me here. He's assigned me here. The question isn't, do I like where I am? The question is, will I trust God where he's placed me? Because as we've been talking about this entire series and the theme of Jeremiah, this idea of running with horses, you can't run with horses when you're always trying to run away from where God has put you, from where God has placed you. He doesn't say, wait for perfect conditions before you start thriving and living again. No, he says the opposite. He says, build and plant and live and marry and multiply and flourish and grow and increase. Right where you're at. In other words, stop waiting for perfect circumstances and start living with purpose where I've placed you. He's giving this language of forward thinking. He's saying, I want you to settle in. I want you to establish. I don't want you to just endure life in Babylon. I want you to cultivate life in Babylon. I want you to cultivate life right where you're at, because God's purpose for them was not just to hold on. And the same's true for us. I think it's tempting, right? I know it's tempting to put life on hold until circumstances improve. Or we start saying things like this, when things calm down, I'll be faithful. When life gets easier, then I'll be generous. When the culture improves, then I'll engage. When my job changes, then I'll live on mission. When I move to a better place, a place that reflects more of my values, then I'll put roots down. But God is seeming to say the opposite. God's saying, no, faithfulness begins right now and right where you live. In this city, in this space. Not someday, but right now. See, our issue is not environment, our issue is obedience. Because God's inviting us and calling us, church. He's calling you, if you belong to Jesus, he's inviting you and he's calling you to obey him wherever you're at, wherever God's invited, put you right now, put roots down there. Build there, invest there, talk to your neighbors, love your neighbors, invest in the community, and be consistent, be present.